Hey everybody, so this is the group, the combined wolf packs, getting ready to move back to Alaska.
If you've ever tuned in to Alaskan Bush People, then you likely remember the unforgettable Brown family, those rugged, bearded, and fiercely independent individuals who lived far off the grid in the remote wilderness of Alaska. Premiering on May 6th, 2014, the show introduced viewers to a completely different kind of reality TV. Instead of luxury mansions, designer clothes, or fast-paced city life, the series followed a family choosing to survive in one of the harshest environments. On Earth, their lifestyle based on self-reliance, unity, and resilience was as inspiring as it was unorthodox. They built their own homes, hunted their food, and endured brutal winters, relying only on their bond and resourcefulness. At the heart of the show were Billy and Ami Brown, along with their 7 children. Matt, Bam Bam Bear, Gabe, Noah, Snowbird, and Rain. Each episode captured their daily struggles and victories, turning their life into an ongoing adventure. Viewers quickly fell in love with the Browns' raw determination and tight-knit family dynamic, making the show a hit. But after 12 successful seasons, the show mysteriously vanished from the screen, leaving fans with burning questions. Why? Did it end? What became of the family? More tragically, what happened to some of the members who either passed away or found themselves in legal trouble? To truly understand, we have to start with the family's patriarch, Billy Brown. Born on December 3rd, 1952, in Fort Worth, Texas, Billy didn't grow up in the wilderness. He had a comfortable childhood till the unthinkable happened. At just 16 years old, his parents and sister were killed in a plane crash, a tragedy that left him completely alone. Adding to the pain, Billy was manipulated into signing away. His rights to the family estate, cutting him off from any inheritance. With no family and no financial support, he began drifting across the country, trying to find meaning. That search eventually led him to Alaska, where he met Amy, fell in love, and started a new life, one rooted in freedom, nature. And rejecting the constraints of modern society, Billy raised his children with the belief that true strength comes from the land and from family. That belief shaped the entire series. But with time, Billy's health began to deteriorate. In 2019, he started experiencing severe breathing problems. And doctors warned him that the high-altitude living conditions were making his heart weaker. They urged him to move, but Billy refused. He told his family he would rather die on the land he loved than live anywhere else. On February 7, 2021, he suffered a fatal seizure and passed away at the age of 68. His son, Bear, broke the news on Instagram, remembering Billy as their best friend, a devoted father, and a loving husband who always followed his own path. Billy's death was not just a personal loss, it marked the end of an era for the show and its fans. In Season 13, the remaining family members, especially Amy and the children, shared heartfelt reflections about Billy's legacy. Bam Bam recalled how their father always prepared them for the day he would no longer be around. But nothing could have readied them for that moment. It shook the entire family to its core. However, tragedy had already struck the Browns once before. Billy's niece, Amber Branson, though not a central figure on the show, was deeply connected to the family. Born on February 8, 1976, in Wichita Falls, Texas, Amber was known for her warm heart and giving nature. She married young and had 2 sons, Braden and Jace. But after a difficult divorce, Amber spiraled into emotional turmoil, battling mental health issues and substance abuse. She struggled to regain control of her life. Despite moments of hope and recovery, she tragically relapsed. In April 2020, an unthinkable incident occurred. Police were called to her home in Hudson Oaks, Texas, after someone reported a woman lying face down in the yard. When they arrived, they found Amber severely burned over 90% of her body. She told responders that she had set herself on fire, believing it was a test of faith. Using insect repellent and possibly gasoline, she had self-immolated. Rushed to a Dallas burn center. Her injuries were deemed non-survivable. At the request of her family, she was taken off life support and died on May 1st, 2020. A loss devastated those close to her. Her brother Les recalled her joyful spirit. and Ami Brown mourned her as more than just in a somber, had been like another daughter. This painful loss deeply affected the Browns, who took a step back from the public eye. The show had always highlighted their survival in the wild, but their emotional survival through grief, trauma, and inner battles was even more haunting. And heartbreak wasn't done with them yet. Bear Brown, one of the most spirited and wild-hearted sons, also found himself in headlines, but not for his usual wilderness antics. Born Solomon Isaiah Freedom Brown on June 10, 1987. Bear was known for his fearless, free-spirited energy. He would leap through forests, howl into the sky, and thrill fans with his untamed lifestyle. However, off-camera, Bear's life took a darker turn. After meeting Riven Adams at his brother's wedding in 2018, they began a whirlwind romance and eventually had a child together. But the relationship was rocky. In March 2022, Bear was arrested for fourth-degree domestic assault, though Riven later dropped the charges. The incident tarnished Bear's image. Fans were stunned. The wild but lovable bushman they had rooted for was now facing very serious allegations. Bear attempted to return to social media with positive updates. The stain of that arrest lingered. Like many reality stars, Bear learned that fame magnifies personal failings. Public scrutiny can be unforgiving. As the spotlight dimmed, the rest of the Brown family slowly moved out of the public eye. With Billy gone and the show-off fair, each member took their own path. Some retreated into private lives, while others, like Matt Brown, continued to battle personal demons. Matt, once a key cast member, left the show due to struggles with alcohol and drug addiction. He entered rehab multiple times and began sharing his recovery journey online. Through YouTube and Instagram, Matt has spoken openly about his struggles with addiction, loneliness, and rebuilding his life. His bond with the rest of the family remains uncertain, but his efforts toward healing show strength and courage. Meanwhile, brothers Bam Bam, Gabe, and Noah have chosen quieter lives, focusing on their families and projects. The sisters, Snowbird and Rain, remain mostly private, though they occasionally share life updates. Since the cameras stopped rolling, the Browns have faced intense pressure, grief, and the quiet struggle of life beyond fame. The reality of Alaskan Bush People was never just about enduring the Alaskan wilderness. It was about surviving emotional storms, death, addiction, legal troubles, and heartbreak. Billy's death was a blow that shook the family's foundation. Amber's tragic end was a silent heartbreak. Bear's arrest was a painful reminder that even strong personalities carry flaws. And Matt's ongoing recovery is a story of quiet resilience. These aren't just stories for television. They are real lives, real pain, and real strength. The Browns welcomed viewers into their world and now continue to live their truth off the grid and off-camera, whether or not they ever return to TV. Their journey has left a permanent mark. Alaskan Bush People was more than a show, was a story of survival in every sense. The Browns dared to live differently, challenged what it means to be strong, and proved that even in the hardest of conditions, whether in the woods or in their heart's family, love and resilience endure. Billy Brown's extraordinary journey eventually led him to the rugged wilderness of Alaska, a place that would define his legacy. It was there that he met and married the love of his life, Amy. Together, they raised 7 children in a world far removed from modern society. Billy was a man of great strength and unshakable determination. He held firm beliefs about living freely and independently, and he worked hard to pass that philosophy on to his children. He wanted them to embrace the same off-the-grid lifestyle he loved so dearly. However, Billy's passion for the wilderness came at a steep cost. By 2019, his health began to decline. Doctors gave him a serious warning. He needed to leave the high-altitude mountain region. It posed a significant risk to his heart, but Billy couldn't bring himself to leave. His connection to the land was too strong, and despite the danger, he chose to stay. On February 7th, 2021, tragedy struck. Billy passed away at the age of 68 after suffering a seizure. His death was a devastating loss, not just for his family, but for the many fans who had followed his life on Alaskan Bush People for years. In the wake of his passing, Billy's son, Bear, posted a deeply emotional tribute, writing that his father had died doing what he loved most, living off the land, away from the noise of the world, just as he had always dreamed. But the pain didn't stop there. Another sorrowful chapter in the Brown family story comes from Amber Branson, Billy's niece. Though she didn't appear often on the show, she was familiar to fans who followed the family closely. Behind the scenes, Amber battled serious personal challenges. She endured a painful divorce, struggled with her mental health, and sadly, fell into substance use. In a tragic turn of events in 2020, Amber set her own home on fire. Authorities found her in the yard, suffering from burns that covered 90% of her body. She later told police that the fire was meant to be a test of faith. Doctors quickly determined that her injuries were not survivable. Her family faced an impossible decision and ultimately chose to remove her from life support. Amber died the following day. Despite her struggles, she was remembered for her kind spirit and generous heart. Her passing brought yet another wave of heartbreak to the Brown family. Then there's Bear Brown, also known by his full name. Solomon Isaiah Freedom Brown, one of Billy's sons, known for his wild energy and thrill-seeking personality. Fans adored Bear for his outlandish antics, climbing trees, running on all fours, and living like a true mountain man. His love for extreme adventure made him a standout figure on the show. But even Bear, with his unbreakable zest for life, couldn't avoid the real-world problems that many face. In 2022, he was arrested after a domestic violence incident involving his wife, Raven Adams. The two had first met in 2018 and eventually welcomed a child together. Their relationship had its share of ups and downs. The incident shook the fan base. Bear spent a weekend in jail following the arrest, but he was later released. Authorities found no alcohol or drugs in his system, and Bear eventually entered a plea deal. Since then, he has mostly stayed out of the public eye, focusing on self-improvement and fatherhood. This sudden change surprised fans, especially those who had always seen him as full of joy and adventure. As time went on, more members of the Brown family found themselves grappling with serious personal and legal issues. Joshua Bam Bam Brown, the second oldest son, was often seen as the intellectual and quiet thinker of the family. With a sharp mind for mechanics and a calm demeanor, he became a fan favorite for his problem-solving skills and steady personality. But even Joshua had a shadow in his past. In 2014, Joshua, his father Billy, and 4 other family members were charged with multiple counts of fraud. They were accused of falsely claiming they lived in Alaska from 2011 to 2013. In order to receive yearly payments from the Alaska Permanent Fund, which is only intended for full-time residents, to resolve the legal battle, both Billy and Joshua pleaded guilty to 1 misdemeanor count of unsworn falsification. Their punishment included serving 30 days in jail and paying back the money they had received. They were also fined heavily and permanently banned from applying to the fund again. This incident was a painful blow to the family's image. Fans who had believed in the authenticity of their wilderness lifestyle began to question everything after the show's cancellation. He turned his attention to personal projects, diving into photography and exploring business ventures tied to electronics and green energy. He also developed a romantic relationship with Allison Kagan, one of the show's producers. Their relationship led him to take a break from the family and the show, reducing his on-screen appearances, although Joshua kept a relatively low profile. After that, the fraud case left a lasting blemish on his public image. Rain Brown, the youngest member of the Brown family, also faced her own difficult path. As a child on the show, she was often seen taking care of animals, laughing with her siblings, and diving into her beloved books, particularly Nancy Drew mysteries. She was bright, imaginative, and had a deep love for fashion and reading. As she transitioned into adulthood, her life took unexpected turns. In 2023, Rain was briefly banned from TikTok when the platform mistakenly flagged her account as fake. Though she eventually regained access, the incident caused a stir among her followers. But that was only the beginning. In 2025, Rain and her husband, Josiah Lorton, were arrested for allegedly stealing over $150,000 worth of goods, including cash, wine, gold, guns, and other valuables from Josiah's uncle's rental property in Washington. According to court documents and security footage, the couple was seen on the property. The uncle believed Josiah, who had insider knowledge of where the valuables were hidden, was directly involved. Both Rain and Josiah spent 3 days in jail before being released. They pleaded not guilty in court and are now awaiting trial. Following the arrest, Rain posted a cryptic Bible verse on Instagram, asking the public not to judge her without hearing her full story. She also accused a former manager of having stolen from her in the past. As the case remains unresolved, public opinion is divided. Some fans remain loyal, while others have turned away. Regardless, Rain is no longer the innocent little girl. From the early seasons, she's a young woman now, navigating the complicated realities of adulthood. These events show just how difficult life has become for the Brown family in the years since Alaskan Bush People went off the air. What started as a heartfelt, inspiring series about survival in the wild has evolved into a much more complex and sometimes painful narrative. From untimely deaths and legal issues to emotional breakdowns and fractured relationships, the Browns have faced more than their fair share of struggles. Their story is a powerful reminder that fame does not shield anyone from hardship, and that real life doesn't pause when the cameras stop rolling. While the Brown family wrestled with their personal crises, the show itself began facing mounting criticism. Alaskan Bush People was originally marketed as an authentic portrayal of remote wilderness life. But as seasons passed, viewers started spotting inconsistencies. The Browns were shown using tools and resources that didn't align with their supposed off-the-grid lifestyle. Locals from nearby towns in Alaska claimed the family wasn't as isolated as the show suggested. Some even alleged that the Browns stayed in hotels or comfortable houses when they weren't filming. These revelations made fans feel deceived. Critics also blamed the Discovery Channel for fueling artificial drama to maintain ratings. Accusations of scripted scenes and exaggerated conflicts began to surface. Real Alaskan residents argued that the show portrayed a misleading version of life in the wild one that ignored the true dangers and complexities of surviving in such harsh conditions. This backlash damaged the show's credibility, and by the time the final season aired, much of the original audience had moved on. Still, a loyal group of fans remained, holding on to the hope that the Browns might someday return and redeem themselves. Perhaps the hardest truth for fans to accept is that the family they had admired on screen turned out to be far more complicated behind the scenes. Once seen as united, resourceful, and strong, the Brown family began to appear fractured and vulnerable. While some members chose to stay silent, others took to social media to defend themselves or share their side of the story. As of 2025, the future of Alaskan Bush People remains unclear. With Rain and her husband's legal battle unresolved, the past fraud case involving Billy and Joshua, and the emotional weight of Billy and Amber's deaths, the family stands at a crossroads. There's a question lingering in the minds of many fans. Will the Browns return to television? Or has their story come to a close? Despite everything, Alaskan Bush People left a powerful legacy. It inspired many to reflect on simpler ways of living, to appreciate the beauty of nature, and to cherish the bonds of family. But it also served as a reminder that no one, no matter how remote their lifestyle, is free from the trials of life. If the Browns do make a return to TV, it will be a different version of the family one that is older, wiser, and perhaps more real than ever before.